You're listening to AchtungMillwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Birmingham. Accept no substitute.
Welcome, dear listeners. Welcome to a grey, cool, overcast early November den for the visit of Derby County this afternoon to the home of the Lions. Derby and Millwall just walking out together prior to the game. Derby in their familiar white shirts and black shorts. Lions, of course, in dark blue and white. Today is Millwall's Remembrance Day ceremony, so I think the game will kick off with a short rendition of the last post, a minute's silence, and then into the game. Your Lions team today sees Sean Hutchinson, not named because he's ill, inverted commas, ill. So we have Bart Bielkowski, back line I think will be Murray Wallace, Jake Cooper and Dan Ballard. The wing backs today, Scott Malone and I'm guessing Ryan Leonard. Midfield, Billy Mitch, Jules Saville. Up front, Bennett Afobe, scorer of the goal in midweek. Mason Bennett, who did so well in that second half, and the familiar face of Jed Wallace. On the bench this afternoon, Jules Long, Danny Mack, Michael Keithenbell, Tom Bradshaw, Matt Smith, Shea Ojo and Pierce, Alex Pierce. I forgot his first name for a moment up. Decent crowd in this afternoon, dear listeners. It was quite busy downstairs as I entered the ground. Reeves have been laid across the centre spot. Both teams lined up around the centre circle.
Please be on standing. Corporal Jake Huntley of the Rifles will play the last post, which will be ended by the referee's whistle. Please remain silent until the whistle. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age will not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
Nicely done, dear listeners. As ever, we do that very, very well at this football club, don't we? Millwall come into today's game on the back of that excellent 1-0, excellent second half 1-0 win over Reading midweek, Tuesday night. We'll be looking to recreate the Millwall chaos, as it's now becoming known all around the internet, because that seems to be it's what we like, also seems to be our most effective style of football, Millwall chaos. Lions were of course booed off at half time versus Reading and were cheered off at full time, just as they were against Stoke City. So I'm hoping that Gary Rowett will learn a valuable lesson. If you bring the Den crowd, you can hear it all around me, into the game, you have a most valuable weapon. Anyway, we'll see how today goes. Derby, of course, on the bottom of the table, languishing with that minus 12 points penalty. Otherwise they would be higher up. They wouldn't be mid-table quite, but they would certainly be in the lower third. They wouldn't be bottom. So I think Adam Barrett described them as dangerous opponents. I think we've got to regard them as such. Just waiting for kick-off. Some kind of delay to kick off, otherwise away we go. We don't go, we're full stop. Getting this game started seems to be a thing for this referee. That doesn't bode well, and away we go at last. Derby kick us off, attacking the Coldblow lane end in accordance with ancient English legislation since the Anglo-Saxon days prior to Alfred the Great. Nicely done there by Jules Saville. Wins the ball, Mason Bennett. Feeds through to Jed Wallace, breaks down the left side. He's got Bennett in the middle. Comes across goal. He slightly obstructed it. Creams for handball, didn't see it. Going for a right-sided corner. Just behind Bennett Afobe. Right start for the Lions. This is the way to do it, dear listeners. Maybe the penny has dropped. The Rowett penny. Good start by the Lions. Early free goal. Early corner. If you were playing Wayne Rooney bingo, dear listeners, at 1 minute 57, if you had that ticket for the first mention of Wayne Rooney, then you've won a season subscription to AchtungMillwall. Pento villain, Wayne Rooney, down in the coach's corner down there. Lions lining up in a 4-4-2 today, dear listeners, after a good article by Dan Marsh on the London News Network website, describing them as shapeshifters. We shapeshifted again today, 4-4-2. I thought it was going to be another 3-5-2 wing-back setup, but no, 4-4-2 today. Dan Ballard taking the elbow in the mush. And the long ball forwards. And the 9. No Sean Hutchinson out this afternoon. It's going to be interesting to see how the Lions play defensively. We tend to not be as good as when Hutchinson's in as when he's out, for whatever reason. It is a more conventional 4-4-2, so one would hope that we're happy with that, comfortable with it. You'd hope. 5 minutes on the clock. He checks. He's beating his man over there. That will be. But there's a ball into the middle. That's in front of goal, bouncing around. Hoof clear. Moment there where the goal was open. Derby keep the ball. Yep, throw in for Derby. Down on my right. Little moment of panic there, dear listeners, as the ball came in. We dodged a slight bullet with that crossing from the left side earlier on. This is the 36 now, taking on Murray Wallace. He's beaten him for pace. Balled into the near post. That's Jake Cooper with the clearance. Do we have a gripe with Wayne Rooney, Millwall fans? Well, I presume you're a Millwall fan if you're listening to this. Do we have a gripe? Here comes the 10 on the right. Ball into the middle. That's across the face of goal. No one in there, thankfully. 8 minutes. Second decent move by Derby. Crossing in from either flank. Did he let his country? I don't think he let his country down. He might have made the 1 or 2 wayward lifestyle choices, but you know, I look around, I see wayward lifestyle choices a lot. I don't know. Murray doesn't seem to be having the best of days so far. Murray's been turned inside out a couple of days, almost conceded possession. He does get it clear. 10 minutes. Bit of bright sunshine now illuminating the Docker stand with the floodlights on. It's at that funny time of year, of course. It's quite a cool day today. Kind of day where you're too hot with your jacket on and too cold without it. Coming towards 15 minutes. After that early brightness, we've got a little bit off the boil. Been driven backwards here, so we're going to come off the boil still further now. Not quite clicking at the moment, dear listeners. It's not quite happening. Some of Millwall's passing has been wayward. We've looked good in little moments, but then the ball into the middle, trying to find Bennett Afobe, has been wanting so far. We're coming towards 21 minutes. Derby have had the best chances so far. They're playing a clear possession style, keep the ball, trying to slow it down, take ages over every dead ball situation. You've heard the song before, dear listeners, I know. At the moment, nothing to really fire up this fairly decent Den crowd. We've just looked a little bit vulnerable down the left side flanks, dear listeners. I'm sure Rowett will be wanting to shapeshift that out of the game because they've looked likely to do damage, attacking on the left side particularly, and also on the right. Got to say the Millwall flag opposite, all the flags actually, on the Docker stand, looking a little bit raggedy. The third Millwall flag, there's a St George's cross in the middle, which looks like it could do with a good run through the washing machine. And 2 Millwall flags that I've seen better days about 3 or 4 years ago. One's fallen to bits, it looks like it's been in the Battle of Trafalgar or something. Sort it out. Debate on the London News in the week as to whether it should be Tom Bradshaw or Bennett Afobe starting up front. Both scored goals recently. So far, well, I think it's more of a team thing, which is not quite clicking. The Derby player's doing up his laces under the doing up your laces rule of football. Like an immediate head injury, you know. The wily old 6 with the old loose laces move. There's a wanker in the red in the crowd, dear listeners. I can't see him from where I'm standing. He's a sex case, apparently. Slightly drifty feeling about the game at the moment from the Mill perspective. We came into the game, I suppose, we should say, building some home form. Wins against Reading, and before that against Stoke. We do also have a second half reputation, of course, of changing things around. We need something in the second half. We're not clicking in the first, for me particularly. Here comes a 4 surging forwards on the left side. I think Saville will concede a free kick there, and does. 41 minutes on the clock. Comes the 8, he feints. It's the other player involved. It's shot on goal, dipping, taken nicely by Bart Bielkowski. Awkward little chance actually. Dipping shot down low on target. We had a little conversation with Mike Hayden on one of the last shows about Gary Rowett and his being a lucky manager. We need some of that Rowett luck. Don't want it to run out just yet. Jake's getting himself into a pickle. The 10's free on the edge of the penalty area. He has the 36. 1-0. 43 minutes. Jake Cooper stumbles and allows the ball to get away from him. Ball pass simply across the Mill penalty area for a simple tap in the end. 1-0 Derby. In truth, I feel that's been coming because we haven't shown enough going forwards, and Derby actually have looked, by their standards, dangerous on the attack, especially down the flanks. But that was just a self-inflicted error. We've not looked totally comfortable in 4-4-2 mode. Jake looks half the player without Sean Hutchinson alongside him. We're playing long ball with no Matt Smith to aim it at. It's not been a great half of football, dear listeners, in my opinion. Little header through. This is Jed Wallace. He's got Scott Malone 3 on the left. What can he do? Scott Malone blasts it. Scott Malone from the edge of the penalty area. Wham bam, thank you, man. Ball broke down the right. Ball across to find Scott Malone on the left, who slams it home with authority, dear listeners. 1 each. Take some of the weight off of our shoulders. We'll see again Jed Wallace with the ball across. He finds Scott Malone wide left. Great strike, great finish. Low, daisy cutter, as we used to call it at Castlecombe School. Slammed into the right side of the net on the right hand corner. Nicely done, 1 each. There's a half-time whistle. Lions get cheered off rather than booed off. 1 each. Not a great half by Mill, I've got to say. That wasn't brilliant. The 4-4-2 not quite connecting for me. Whether we'll do another shapeshift at half time, I think we probably have to, because we were rather open to attacks down on both sides, both flanks. We've done well to get ourselves back into a game, having given the lead cheaply to Derby County, but really nice finish to finish off what was largely speaking a fairly disappointing half of football for Millwall. Anyway, mustn't carp. Millwall 1, Derby 1 at the break.
Achtung, Millwall.
Teams are out for the second half, dear listeners. Mill will be attacking the Coldblow Lane end in the second half in accordance with English law since the time of the ancient Bede writing the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle at Jarrow Monastery. And away we go. Lions really do need a lot more verve, vim and attacking esprit de corps in the second half. That first half we slightly got out of jail, in my opinion, with that late goal from Scott Malone, as well taken as it was. Can we produce Millwall chaos in the second half? That would make a great name for a punk rock heavy metal band, in my opinion. Millwall Chaos. Lead singer Boring Gary Rowett. Have to be a punk band for Boring Gary Rowett. Possibly on bass Zombie Adam Barrett or something like that. Nice little flick from Mason Bennett. Jed's in a running race. He's beaten his man. What can he do? He's got a chance to shoot. Nice block by the goalkeeper. It falls to Scott Malone on the edge of the penalty area. He's blasted into the defender. Moment's gone. Mason Bennett does still hold the ball. There's nice break forwards there. That's gone for a goal kick. 51 minutes, and it comes. It is long. Bouncing around. It falls to Billy Mitch. Tries to combine nicely with Leonard. He does. The ball into the near post. Unlucky. Nice move. A little bit of subtlety. A little bit of finesse. Something a little bit more than a hot dog. Another long throw. It's bouncing around. Jake Cooper penalised for the 6, who's gone down as if smitten by bubonic plague. 52 minutes. Here come Derby. There's space in front of them. There's the back four moving back in a line. Plenty of time being given to him. The ball on the right side. That's headed away by Dan Bullard. Nicely done. They should go for a goal kick. 36 looks a dangerous player, dear listeners, on the right side for Derby. He's been by far their main threat, and as I've said already, has given a new orifice to poor old Murray Wallace over on the left side of Mill's defence. Oh, cleared the ball just. One of those heart-stopping moments. Lovely ball from Mason Bennett to feed Jed Wallace on the left. What can he do? Balls into the middle. This is Joe Saville. Oh, he's missed a sitter! He's missed a sitter! 60 minutes. Running through from centre. Ball in from the left from Jed Wallace. Into the path of Joe Saville. Puts it wide right. Oh, dear. Shocker. Should have been buried. Tackles flying in midfield now. Derby on the break. On the left side now, this is shot blocked nicely by Dan Ballard. Rapidly becoming my man of the match, Dan Ballard. It's a Derby throwing down below us in block 1. Nicely done, nice work. He had no option there, Dan Ballard I'm talking about. Derby pick up possession again though. It's an open game. 61 minutes. Whether Gary Rowett would like it and its chaotic feeling, I don't know, but it's certainly an open game. It's a better game in the second half. That's the ball that's crossed there into touch. Goal kick from the right side from the 38. He's had a poor game, Jake Cooper. The ball released. This is the 36. Oh, how did Bart save that? That was the 38. Stopped it with his legs. Mill dodge a bullet. 62 minutes. How did you do it? They're taking it quickly. Here's the 10 on the left. Ball's into the middle. It's headed up. We've looked defensively unsound today, dear listeners. That's headed gently through to Bart Bielkowski. Miracle save. Number how many now? Lose count of them. Mason Bennett clips it past the 36, who draws a free kick. Second yellow is going to go. We're down to 10. Sending off, 63rd minute. The boys taking forever to walk off the pitch. Out comes the tunnel. I haven't seen a tunnel for a little while. The protective tunnel. In case of missiles. I think it will be Smithy time now with the depleted Derby County numbers getting amongst them, I think. What do you think, dear listeners? Would you bring Smithy in? I think there's always there's a moment every game where you can say it's Smithy time. He's got Jed on the right side of him. Jed cuts in. Little cross into the danger zone in front of Jake Cooper. Couldn't get a touch on it. Brilliant cross from Jed Wallace on the right in front of Jake, and Bennett Afobe's on screen. I think it was more Jake than Bennett, to be honest. Oh, poor pass, Billy Mitchell, the 38 breaks at pace. And he's trying to get back. What can he do? Brilliant work there by Billy Mitchell. He made the error, but the running, the 38 has pace, 36 has pace. And he was chased down enough to make that a corner rather than a shot on goal. Scuffed back, the goalkeeper will clear it under the attention of Bennett Afobe. There was a moment there where I thought we had a chance through on goal. Nice 1-2, belly to Ryan Leonard on the right. Ryan gets dispossessed. A lot of that this afternoon, dear listeners. A lot of cheap dispossessions on the Millwall side. It was a better second half, more entertainment. Nine has space on the left side, no one with him. Jakes looked a bit 6 and 7. Nine will get a shot. Oh, another great save by Bart Bielkowski from the 9 there. That was on target, low and very hard to stop. Miracle save number 2 in the game from Bart. How many goals does he stop and save? How many points does he save us in the course of a season with that instinctive shot-stopping ability of his? Fantastic save. Tom Bradshaw does well to win the ball. Falls to Jed Wallace on the right side. What can he do? He's clip into the middle. His overhead kick from spatted away on the line. The overhead kick from Benik Afobe, saved on the line by the goalkeeper. It falls to Scott Malone now. 78 minutes on the clock. Ball into the mix. Bradshaw runs through to the goalkeeper. It's a goal kick. It could be the last chance saloon for Millwall, I'm afraid, dear listeners. 1 minute to go.
Replacing number 10, John Lawrence, number 44, Sazi Agaratis.
Derby taking forever over their business. There it is. Millwall 1, Derby 1. We didn't do enough in the second half to dismantle a determined Derby side, especially once they'd gone down to 10 men. It was a better game in the second half than it was at the first. But thanks to that error from Jake Cooper in the first half, and then the making good of Scott Malone, the Daisy cut at half time, it finishes 1 apiece. Fair result, I think, overall. Derby came with a determination and maxed their resources. So anyway, there we are. We'll be right back after these messages, dear listeners.
Achtung, Millwall.
So just leaving the ground, and I'm under the blue illuminated lights, as if I'm walking back to the Sealwood estate. It never used to look like this years ago. Shows they're interested in today's game off, and that's how I'm starting my voice note. But do you know what? Mike Hayden had a great point the other day when he was saying about the quality of the division if we're as high as we are. And I think today you could question it, because I thought in the first half we was not great again, and this goes back to again what was said on the previous show, and thinking back to the Stoke City game where we're just so slow starting in the first half, or we don't really know what we seem to be doing. There was a bloke behind me shouting, "Oh, you've had about 4 different formations." I don't think it was as many as 4, but things did seem to change around. And at one point, I said to a few people around me, I can see the players, and I can judge the formation by what they normally play, but I can't see what they were doing, because at the time Mason Bennett was playing down the middle of the front three and Benik Afobe was on the left. I think the goal from Scott Malone stopped an awful lot of jeering and booing that was coming, and I could question some of the tactics from Gary Rowett and what we were trying to do. But this goes back to the responsibility of the players. Jake Cooper had an absolute nightmare today, but all around me it was, "Rowett, you don't know what you're doing." Well, clearly Cooper didn't know what he was doing, and when we conceded the goal, everyone was jumping on Rowett's back again when it was a big mistake from Jake Cooper. Second half was slightly better. We started the second half better. It was more explosive and the fans were in the game, but Derby went to the 10-man syndrome, didn't they? They got a player sent off and we just couldn't really compete with them, could we? We didn't really do much except for long balls up. There was a few times we were playing a few hopeless balls up, and I'm sorry, in the nicest possible way, and this isn't digging anyone out as individuals, but if you've got someone like Phil Jagielka, who is less mobile than Matt Smith, and they're down to 10 men, you don't think I'm going to bring on Matt Smith to actually get me the goals. You're going to bring on someone a bit more mobile who's going to cause more trouble. I mean, you do that when they had 11, let alone 10. We're the reason we didn't win that game today, and Derby were the reason they didn't win that game, because if Derby could finish better and a bit less blasé with their finishing, they would have been 2-3-0 up before we'd even got our goal. But it's disappointing. I mean, if you're in Derby's position, considering what they've had to put up with and the players they've only been allowed to sign in the situation they're in, where they're all but relegated, that's the perfect result. And for some reason now, someone's playing Dancing Queen around me. With that note, Arrivederci Millwall. It's got to get better than that, lads. It's got to get better than that.
Hi Nick, Matt Richards here. Just driving back from that game. Just feeling disappointed really. I mean, the game was there, wasn't it? I mean, it's sod's law, typical Millwall, isn't it? Before the game, playing bottom team, then they're down to 10 with half an hour to go and can't get the win really. I mean, the first half wasn't great. We upped and puffed. We didn't create anything, did we, until we scored. I mean, their goal was another calamity, and Jake's made a mistake. He's not great on the ball. He's got to do the simple things, and then suddenly there you go, 1-0 down. I mean, if Malone hadn't scored, obviously, we would have been booed off again, which is you could say harsh, I guess, because I don't think we were that bad. But that's the way some people are feeling at the moment, so it's fair enough. And then second half was a lot better, really. Jed running through, he was unlucky when he was running through, but the chances, the two gutting things was Saville's chance. I mean, what a great move. Bennett playing him, Jed, and he picked him out perfectly. He's just got to hit the target, and it's just, And then another great ball by Jed, to the Phobie, and he just got to get a touch. It's just gutting, because one end goes in, we win the game. And, can you blame Rowett for that? Well, not when players are missing easy chances like that. I suppose it's good with creating chances, but it's frustrating when you just don't put them away. And Derby had a couple of chances as well, so it wasn't as if it was total one-way traffic. But we were the better team. I thought we were the better team, and we should have won that game. And it's frustrating because if we did, then we'd be flying up towards the top 6, and we haven't.
Hi Nick, it's Angelo here. I was at the game today. I thought Derby were much better first half than what we were. Second half it was all us, and we just really got to put one of them chances away. Really, the Saville and the Afobe chance, they should be scoring. There's no question about that. The only disappointing thing I thought was that where Rowett may have got it wrong, is that the two centre-halves for Derby are really old. They're very experienced, but they're really old. So I would have personally started with Smith, because Smith would have given them a headache, would have battled and bruised and made them even more tired than what they were. And then in the second half, then bring on the Ojos and the Bennetts and all the pace, and that would have been my tactic for that game. But listen, at the end of the day, it's another game we haven't lost. But just we should have put one of them chances away. But Billy Mitchell, man of the match by a country mile. But listen, we can't grumble. We're 2 points off the playoffs. So come on, you Lions.
Achtung, Millwall.
Huge thank you to the voicemail messages left there on our answer phone. Do leave us a message, dear listeners. 0208 144 0232. It's always good to hear from people, not just post match. If you have anything you want to say, midweek or out of game day, so to speak, then it's always good. But joining us now on the show is a previous guest. Actually, we've spoken before. It's Mr. Steve Evans. Welcome, Steve.
Morning, Nick. Morning, everyone.
And thank you for joining us in the aftermath of what was in the end, I thought it was an entertaining game, Steve, but oddly frustrating. Weird combination yesterday.
Yeah, that's the overriding sense I got walking out the ground yesterday. People I was talking to, and myself included, was frustration. But obviously, the second half, it was a bit like, it's the standard Millwall home game now. I think just boys to death in the first half, and then you rally for the second half, and you just I think the fact we couldn't get the second goal, it was just frustrating all round.
We created plenty of chances, especially in the second. I think you can't talk about Millwall at the moment without talking about these first halves that we're getting, and I go around in circles, Steve, and I don't know how you feel about this. You can't ask for more entertainment, which is what we got, and then complain when maybe the game don't go your way, because that's going to be football, and chances get created. That's all you can do, and then hope that the strikers take them. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, as we saw yesterday.
But the first half was where my real frustration lay, because not so much in the second, because that was more of like a Millwall match.
Yeah,
You know,
chaos is right.
Millwall chaos. Yeah. It's become a catchphrase for us now, isn't it? But the first half, we don't quite switch on. I don't quite understand why we don't quite believe in ourselves in the first half in the way that we seem to in the second, because I'm guessing they gave him a rocket at half time, told a few home truths to one or two players and told them to get forwards and get more at it. Because in the first half, that's what we weren't doing. It was a very strangely flat and quite defensively wobbly performance in that first period, I thought, Steve.
But I think it's just like I say, it's becoming the standard first half performance, especially at home now, where they just like. I said to someone yesterday in the pub, I don't know if it's part of his master plan, that he bores everyone to death. They get booed off at half time, so the opposition go in thinking, "Oh, well, obviously the fans ain't happy. We might be able to nick something here." And then we come out in the second half and are a completely different team. I mean, we created enough chances to win the game yesterday. We were just unlucky. I was sat behind the goal second half. How the Savile one doesn't go in,
yeah,
I don't know. Obviously, the one across goal, Phoebe struggles to get a firm touch on. And then the overhead kick was quite an inventive and decent effort. The keeper's made a good save. So it's not like the chances aren't being created. I mean, we know we're not the most clinical in front of goal anyway.
No.
So it didn't surprise me that we weren't finishing them, but it was the Savile one more than anything for me, because I was sitting right behind it. As soon as it left his foot, I thought it was in.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at the YouTube highlights reel just before we spoke this morning, and every time you see it in real time, I thought, how did he miss it? And every time I've watched it a couple of times since, you think the same thing. How did that not go in? Because it looked like it was going in, and then somehow curled away at the last. I mean, that's football. I mean, I think he's a player like a few others, perhaps in the Mill squad. I don't know if I think we've got this split identity, Steve. And I was trying to think on how to summarise that game yesterday, because you have the first half where it looks like we don't quite believe in ourselves. We're setting ourselves up in a more attacking stance. I don't know if you'd call that 4-4-2 in the first half or what. I get lost. But anyway, it looked something like a traditional Millwall setup. With one or two players, like a slight sense of round pegs in square holes, with Ryan Leonard playing on the right, in that kind of more 4-4-2-ish kind of formation.
But the thing is with Leonard, though, he's not actually done that bad in the last.
No, he's doing all right. He's doing very well.
Yeah.
And I'd never knock him, because I think he's playing not quite a fish out of water, but he's certainly not in his natural position. That's for sure. But I think there's a certain sense, don't know if you agree, but I just thought we weren't clicking in the first half. It's almost like we didn't quite believe in this formation as an attacking unit. It's like we got out of practice with it somehow. Do you think?
Yeah, I was saying to someone afterwards, I don't know whether it's just where they've played the Rowett formation for so long now.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
that whenever he changes it, like obviously he's changing it about with the best of intentions, but when he does, as you say, the players don't quite seem to really know what they're supposed to do.
No.
And then in the end, it will revert to type and go to his typical formation.
Which we didn't look bad on in the second half.
No. Well, yeah. I mean, even Tuesday night against Reading, second half was the same thing. He changed it up, got Mason on, and the second half was completely different.
Yeah, I think what it is, I mean, we brought Matt Smith in late in the game yesterday, and I suppose he's the nearest thing we've got to a target man. I do wonder if poor old Matt's, I mean, with the years catch up on us all, Steve, don't they?
I don't think he offered anything when he came on yesterday.
No.
I was having a chat with someone on Twitter last night, Mickey Avery. I was chatting with him last night as well.
Yeah.
The age in their defensive legs, we should have just been throwing pace at them from all angles. You've got Jack Yelker, actually. My brother turned around to me yesterday and goes, look, Jack Yelker's actually got a gut on him. Is that like so?
He's drawing a pension like me.
Yeah, I mean, so even Curtis Davis, I think Davis has got to be nearing 35 now.
Yeah.
There was enough, there was enough pace on the bench and in the team to just be running at them whenever they had the chance.
I think we played into their hands somewhat. I mean, one of my notes I've made to myself, and it slightly sticks in the throat, but you've got to take your hats off to Derby, because that's a makeshift 11 that they've put out there with players, as you just said. I mean, experience, but blimey, they're scraping the bottom of the barrel to put out a championship level 11. But I thought they actually showed good fighting spirit. Although we didn't probably test them enough in the ways that you've just described very well, because pace kills, doesn't it? I mean, you know, at any level.
I think as well. I mean, the red card sort of it galvanised them more than it did us, because we were on top up until that point anyway. But you obviously know as soon as Burn went off, they were just going to sit behind the ball, try and hit us on the break, which in fairness, they did have a couple of chances towards the end to hit us on the break. But we seemed more, I think we're one of them teams. Derby were happy to let us have the ball, and we're not very good at that.
No, we're not. I think you hit the nail on the head there, Steve.
We move the ball. If we can move the ball quickly, we seem to be pretty good at that. But if you ask us to pop it around our own midfield, sooner or later, a bit like with their goal, to be fair, you end up going backwards and mistakes get made.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to come on to the goal, so I'm glad that you've raised it, and I mean, it raises the Jake Cooper question, because he's a confidence. Like all players, everyone in this life, everyone needs confidence in themselves, and I just think he's lost confidence in his own ability. I think you don't become a bad player overnight, but you can lose your confidence quite quickly in professional sport. And the Den is an unforgiving place to be struggling with that side of it. But I mean, it was a shocker of an error to be stuck with the ball, and we got punished for it, didn't we? I mean,
he was trying, I don't know what he was doing. It's like he was dancing with it, like he was pissed. and mate got right. Well, all right, I'll nick this off you. I mean, even when he tries to cover him, mate, he just back heels it straight past him. Yeah, I mean, we're wide open after that.
We're wide open, and they put it away well, and that's 1-0, and that is that's a punch in the stomach, isn't it? At that point, because self-inflicted errors, and I think that's been so for a few of the goals we've conceded. We're not going to score many, Steve, and we can't afford to ship them that easily if that's how we're set up. So yeah, I mean, tough break on them. I thought Jake and the whole defence, apart from Dan Ballard, who I picked out as my in the immediate flush of walking out the Den, I was trying to think of a man of the match, and he came into my head because I thought he's like a
it's probably not a bad. I thought Billy done well as well yesterday.
Billy did very well. In the benefit of hindsight, I think probably I would have gone for Billy. But there we are. As you're walking down Ilderson Road, you don't think that deeply. But I think Billy did very, very well. I mean, the goal to respond so quickly came as a huge relief, because I think we would have been booed off at half time, as seems to become the new fashion at Millwall, boo our team. But it was a really nicely taken, executed goal, created by that pass. I think it was Jed, was it, who passed the ball across the field?
Jed done a bit of work cutting. So, I mean, I'll be honest, when they scored, I got up and went downstairs.
Right.
So I was watching it on the monitor with the inevitable 2-second delay. You go up upstairs, and you're like, well, we've obviously scored. You just got to wait to see it on the screen.
Yeah, nice finish.
Yeah, I mean, very nice finish. Yeah.
I mean, he does have a touch of quality about him, Scott Malone. I think again, I mean, he's clearly at the end of a longish career, Scott Malone. But I think he still does retain that Premier League quality in his attacking play. Certainly, maybe less so defensively, but certainly that came as a welcome relief to me at half time.
Well, I think he seemed to enjoy it as well, didn't he? Judging by his celebration.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting a bit of stick off the Derby fans, which must hurt. But yes, I mean, one each at half time, and then we as I said, someone, I think as Carl Bates said it, we threw the kitchen sink at him in the second half, and so we did. Apparently there was a formation change. I didn't really pick up on this in the second half, but apparently Gary Rowett said that we went to 4-2-3-1 in the second half. I can't tell you.
The thing was, though, we didn't really have a lot of the ball in our own defensive third. So
no,
I mean, because I'm cold blow lane lower, so you can't really. If we haven't got the ball in a defensive area, you're not really paying attention to who's there. If that makes sense, you're just focusing on the ball forward, and we were getting it wide quite a lot in the second half as well.
Yeah, I thought we did. There was a good debate. It might have been that debate that you were talking to Michael about, actually, Steve, where I think Michael had said that you can't blame Gary Rowett for players missing pretty good chances.
No,
so basic football, really. If you're being paid,
and I'll be honest, in the second half, I've one of my close mates who I sit with, I said to him, it's probably the first time I've seen Rowett actually out of his seat, barking at him to get forward. And it was more than once he done it as well. So it wasn't a lack of him trying to drive the players forward or a lack of the players creating opportunities. It just wasn't bouncing our way.
No, that's right. And I mean, despite the result, which felt a bit like we got beat when we hadn't, we come away with a draw in the end. So, you know, that could have been worse. I mean, on these shows, and I've tried to be balanced on this show, but, you know, there's been a fair amount of criticism of Gary Rowett and his tactics and having a go because you're in a frustrating situation. But I think I've got to take my hat off to the way that we set up in the second half. I mean, you can talk about the first, but it did give it a go, and that's all that I'm going to ask of him, to be honest with you, Steve. If we continue to play like that overall, you know, we'll win some, we'll draw some, we might lose some, but it was an entertaining game. And, you know, despite, I'm just looking at a series of missed chances. I mean, Saville's chance we've mentioned already, Afobe, he had that back to goal effort, which I thought was quite a tough situation.
That was a tough one. Yeah, that was a tough one of the two he had anyway.
Yeah, and I mean the screamer was Saville's, should have done better. Matt Smith, I think, had a header when normally you'd expect him to do better as well late. But you know, I can't ask much more from Gary Rowett than to set up in an attacking stance and get at it, and that's what we saw yesterday. So, you know, for a change, I'm going to say well done, Gary Rowett, in that sense, because that's what we wanted to see all along, didn't we? I don't know how you feel about it.
I think as well, previously, I think more the Luton game was a bit of a wake-up call for him.
Yeah.
Because before that, it was very, I'd say, monotone in the sense that it was just, that first half, we could have whole games like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, it's sort of, if we get to half-time and we're playing that way, he sort of seems to, as you say, he's either throwing a rocket up them, or something changes in the shape, he might throw a sub on. He'll be proactive in trying to address it.
Yeah, it's a learning curve for him. I mean, you know, someone said to me on Twitter in the week that he's got, I think it was Tony Mundy actually, his track record at places like Burton, which he did very well at, and other Birmingham, I think he did well at, and other, you know, he's clearly a manager that knows his way around the Championship anyway. Yeah. And it's true. I mean, no one can deny the stats. But I just think that it's one thing to do well at a place like Burton, but the Den is a different venue, different arena, isn't it? You know, I think you're not gonna get away with it.
No, exactly. We're a bit more unforgiving than most.
Yeah,
and obviously, it's like you say, the stats don't lie, but it's hard to. It's a careful what you wish for sort of thing. The people who actually do want him out, who do you then get in?
I wonder really.
We're getting the same sort of results.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I spoke with Harry on the recent shows, and I mean, Harry's quite upfront. He don't like him, don't like his football. I take my hat off to everyone that listens and adjusts, and you know, even if it's not their natural starting point, I think naturally Gary Rowett is a defence-minded manager that looks to hit on the break with whatever quality.
Well, he was a defender. He was a defender as a player.
Absolutely. And you know, our league table position is what it is. We're not in the top six, but you know, we're doing pretty well. But the problem that I think that he's come to, and he's come to recognise it, Steve, is that at the Den, you know, we want blood and thunder, mate, don't we? I mean, it's you know, I enjoyed yesterday, although probably from a football purist point of view, they'd say that was a wasteful game. You know, that was a game where quality should have told and didn't. But I came out of there afterwards. I know we drew, but I actually thought as I was walking back down the road afterwards, actually that's what I want to see. I want some action, some drama, some to and fro. You know, that's why we'll come back again week in, week out. And maybe he's come to recognise that. I don't know.
It's just them first halves. I mean, obviously there was a pretty decent crowd there yesterday, and the atmosphere at the start of the game was pretty good. And then I've turned around to someone after 12 minutes and said, "Bloody hell, we sucked the atmosphere out of this already." But that is the first half, and then you change it. Then you go to the second half. It's completely different. That's the sort of. I mean, like I've heard you say in previous shows, we're not here to compare Rowett and Harris, but under Harris, you would have that. What you say, blood and thunder. You'd have it all for the whole 90 minutes. There would be an atmosphere in the ground. It doesn't. If there is a lull,
I mean, I don't want to overdo Neil Harris as a manager. I mean, as a player, he stands apart, and as a manager, he was a good Millwall manager because I think that he more than many understood the needs and the kind of what can I call it, like the rhythm of the game at the Den.
The carnal desires of a Millwall.
The carnal desires. which must, as ever we know, they must build to a crescendo. You know,
Yeah.
that's what he understood. Whereas I think Gary is I think he's getting there. He doesn't come from a Millwall background, so I think it must be a difficult thing to get. I know it's an overused word a little bit, that they get us, you know. There is something that the Den demands, and it won't always be beautiful football. Sometimes it is carnal desires. So I'm gonna nick that off you now.
Yeah.
I like that.
Feel free, mate. But I think it was either you and Harry were talking about it after the Reading game, or it was on the post Reading cast about it. Rowett, when he came in, said one of the main reasons he came here was because of the fan base and how we are.
Yeah.
And he just seems like that implies that he sort of understands it to an extent.
Well, I suppose he's been on the receiving end of it, hasn't he?
Then the way he sets up, it just makes you think, well, what the fuck were you on about when you first walked in the door?
This ain't going to get him off, bums on seats. He ain't going to do it. We kind of saw that a little bit with the midweek crowd. So it was it was a good loud Millwall crowd, but it was pretty sparse. And yesterday was a good turnout, actually. And there's a Remembrance Day thing, so people, rightly will come down to Millwall for that, because the club does that pre-match ceremony very, very well, I think.
Maybe better than all, but I love that whole part of it, to be honest.
Yeah, it went really well. So congratulations to everyone. Just before we close out, actually, I just want to. It's a good point, because I want to say well done to Millwall and to everyone that organised that, and the service personnel that that were there yesterday. We've mentioned Billy Mitch as a probable man of the match in a cold light of day. Jed, we just get used to Jed being the linchpin of the side, Steve, and I thought he really, wasn't one of his best days, but he certainly created chances for us.
He put himself about in the second half quite a lot as well. He was trying to make things happen. So
yeah, and I've mentioned Dan Ballard. I mean, he left the field injured, but. Very calm boy. I'm hoping, I was reading a story that he might be available and we might be interested. I hope we are interested, and I hope you'd like
to think so. I read another one that Arsenal think of offering him a new deal.
Yeah,
how true that is, I don't know. I can't see him going back and getting in their team. Although, having said that, none of the centre halves aren't very good. So who knows? But.
Who knows?
I'd have him over Chambers or Holding, I think, in the Arsenal team.
He's going to go for if he can get a high level and get regular starts. That's going to be the key for the boy, isn't it?
Of course, especially at the age he's at now.
Can he start? He'll certainly start at the Den. Whether he'd start at, I think he said Highbury, then it's been long gone. The Emirates Stadium, whatever it's called, who knows? Scott Malone we mentioned, and I just want to also mention Bart Bielkowski, Steve, just before we close out, mate, because. He made, I called it a miracle to order on Twitter, because I think we just get used to these saves.
It's like he does at one end what you expect Jed to do at the other.
Yeah.
And anything less is, well, he's had a shit game.
You can talk about his distribution, and some people do, but I take shot stopping ability over distribution, which can be learned.
Absolutely, any day.
You can't learn. You can't learn fundamental talent. It's either in you or it's not. It's God given, or whatever way you want to put it. And some of those stops he made were goal-saving stops. We would have got beat yesterday, but for Bart Bielkowski. So I think
I'll take a bloke who can make saves like him.
Absolutely,
if he's spooning one out for a throw-in every now and again.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. There we are, Bart Bielkowski. Hats off to you, mate. Really appreciate you taking time on your Sunday, Steve. I'm going to let you get back to your family, mate. Now we've got a break, haven't we? We've got a break till the 20th, which I think is Middlesbrough away. Let's hope we use that break to deal with some of these, recharge, deal with some of these defensive issues. Because I think that'll be the only thing that rattles our cage slightly, is if we if we can't rebuild confidence. I think the loss of Sean Hutchinson yesterday through illness was a big loss.
I think. Well, we spoke about it last night. You can see when he's not playing, it seems to affect the whole of the rest of the back line, especially Cooper.
Yeah,
I think I said he's like a kid waiting at home for his dad to get back from work.
That's a great image.
Stat just at the window with his palm.
It's true. There's a house opposite us where the cat looks out the window all day looking for its owner to come home, and I think that's
them lost eyes. Yeah.
Jake's little lost eyes. That's fantastic stuff, Steve. Really appreciate your time, mate. We'll do this again
Pleasure,
sometime
mate. Thanks
soon.
for having me on again.
Thank you for listening to AchtungMillwall. If you enjoyed the show, please head over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a cheeky little review. Arrivederci Millwall. Till next time.
Who do you want to watch?